alias, email, also unique, and a password, which doesn't have to be unique, but whatever. All right, so that's our users table.
So I'll probably use that for like login or registration part, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
users.
Yeah. So that'd be our user, I guess, would be in terms of Django.
Is that the convention because you have to do it singular instead of plural?
All right, so we have a faves list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your faves list had
Foreign keys from users as
yep,
well as
so it has its own ID because that just automatically gets built.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a foreign key for user and a foreign key
Wish list.
for wish list. And that's the important part of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then our wish list. So,
It has the product as well as the user.
yep. All right, so it has product, and it also has a foreign key user.
Mm-hmm.
This is who person who added it to the wish list. All right, awesome.
Mhm.
So now for the ORM methods, if we want to get a user, we can get a single user by either of these two unique things, and get should work.
Mhm.
So email may or may not work because there may or may not be an email. But in the case that you're using it,
ID is always unique.
you have an ID and you've already populated a field using that ID,
Mhm.
so you know that there's a user with that ID around.
Mhm.
So we'd start off with user dot objects dot get, and then ID equals ID. All right, so what this is it's an individual,
With that ID.
an object.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, so now if we want to get everything that's on this person's faves list,
Mm-hmm.
so we can go, all right, so we've got in this object, and we can say, okay, so we know that we can get this faves list and stuff, but we can't do it directly because there's no direct key in here.
Mhm.
But Django fortunately gave us a tool to do that. So we go like, okay, so, well, we have this faves list, and I might screw up and like mess up a capital or
Mhm.
something, but set. All right, so that's a faves list. And now we're looking at this fave list. So we could do stuff with it. So if we wanted to get everything that's on our fave list,
Mhm.
we'd say dot all.
So wait, going back to the the underscore set list,
Yep.
that's over here, right? And is it going backwards? That's all I need to do set.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there are something to this effect, right?
Okay. Cool.
Same here. So this way we have to use underscore set,
Mm-hmm.
and this way we can go just directly to FK user. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're sitting in this thing. So what this thing is, it's a list of all of this user's favorite stuff. So now we're sitting there at a list. Users' favorite objects. And each one of these is a faves list object. All right, so now we're actually at this faves list object
Mm-hmm.
inside of there, right? And so if we did something like, well, if we wanted to go and get a wish list and like get the product from it, well, it's a one to, this one we don't need a set. So each one of these, we can say, okay, well, each of those objects, we can go to the wish list,
Mm-hmm.
or FK wish list.
What's foreign key, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever, I mean, this is whatever field you named it. So it could have
Mhm.
been like WID or whatever UID.
But I thought when you're linking, you always link by foreign key.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this would be like user ID equals
Foreign key.
models
something.
dot foreign key.
Oh, okay.
I was just shorthanding it.
Cool, cool.
Key bracket user. Right? So that's what this
Mm-hmm.
thing is. This. All right. So we ended up with this list of objects.
Mm-hmm.
So each of these objects, you can basically say, oh, go and get the foreign key wish list, or whatever we call it. Let's call it U_W.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're sitting at one of these objects. And so one of these objects, you can say, oh, well, I want the product from that. And that would give you the product name. I want the user who created it. Well, this is also a one-to-many. Right, so it's still this sort of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so this side would need the dot set, but this side doesn't. So we could say, right, so we just go directly to user. So it could be like FK user at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, we don't want that one, sorry. This product is already an endpoint. Because now we're sitting right here, we're basically, Django will do the lookup for us and send us to this object.
Mm-hmm.
And so FK user dot name would give us our first name. Would give us that person's first name.
So I didn't need to do a set from here?
Was that you only need to go if you're going from the one to the many, that's when you use the set.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going from the many to the one, you just call the field.
Oh, okay.
And it points out an object.
Got it. All right. Okay. So depending on that, then my query changes. Because if I could go
Yep.
directly, then I could just call it. But if I'm going from many to, then I have to say set.
Yep,
And then do
exactly.
that.
And then you have to parse through that list, which is kind of the annoying part.
So what by parsing do you mean like finding that exact?
You'd have to do
person?
like a for each loop.
Oh, on the HTML.
Possibly on the HTML, yeah. So like this one, you might pass this thing over, this
Mhm.
whole list over, and then on your HTML you might end up doing something like, and if you pass it over as a context like wishes
Mm-hmm.
equals this thing, well, I guess colon, then you'd have something like for wish and wishes.
So the first one I can name it whatever I want, but this last
Yep,
one has to
exactly.
be
It
my
has to be
object.
whatever you pass in your context object.
Okay.
So for wish and wishes, then we're already at this is that object there.
Mm-hmm.
So then we can do the wish dot product. Or we could do wish dot, and remember this is the one-to-many thing, so we do FK user, so whatever that field is, dot first name.
So is it pretty much just this part, kind of?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because wish is one of these objects,
Uh-huh.
and so then one of these objects can basically go over to there.
Mm-hmm. So does it matter if? Because I called. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. So what I would do, or how I generally attack these things, is I
Mhm.
write each piece and say, do I have an object or do I have a list?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a list, then I have to break that list apart using a for loop, and then each object I can be like, oh, do I have the key or do I not have the key?
Mhm.
If the key exists in the other thing, then I do set. If the key exists in my thing, I can just be like, oh, I'm pointing to that next object.
Okay. Cool.